In this video I have a Teac cassette player, a CX350. Now I wasn't going to touch any more cassette players unless there's something really interesting, but this one is sort of interesting. I think my dad actually had a CX550. Don't think the VU meters are upside down, they're a normal way round, so I think this is an earlier model. Same piano keys, same looking door on it. This I think's got more switches here. Not sure how it definitely didn't have a memory stop button, I don't think. Not sure if it had the chrome and metal setting. And Dolby noise reduction. So I've got bias and equalization by the look of it for both of them. So I think normally they just had the one switch. But these are quite a nice looking old machine. They're pretty good for a Teac. They're not like their later plastic stuff. Had the light up VU meters. I know the 550 or whatever we had, I think the manual that came with it had the circuit, and they also had a fluorescent display version, though I don't know that I've ever seen the fluorescent display version. They obviously cost a bit more, so most people bought them. They were more of a, maybe not a budget deck, but a sort of middle of the road deck. I guess we might as well open it up and see if there's any belts left in it. But this might make a reasonable sort of displayed piece, if nothing else. This could actually go with your light up tuners and stuff, just with the light up meters. And I think there's a light behind the cassette as well. There's definitely a bit of orange plastic there. That's translucent. Oh yeah, there is a dim light in there. Not sure if it should have been a bit better than that. And yeah, I was going to say, I think I can see the belts off already. Ugh, very gooey. Look at that. I can probably make that a metre long before it breaks. So I think we'll pull that out before we do anything, because that is right on the edge of going to goo. Looks like we caught it just in time, so that's a good thing. Is that going to come out of there? Probably not. It's gone down in the mech a bit and it's sort of sliding out. Come on. What's it catching on? Turn the power off, I guess, before I short something out. It's caught down in the mech here somewhere. It's gone down in amongst the gears and stuff, I think. Oh, there we go, got it free. Probably shouldn't have stretched it so much, might have been able to measure it, but anyway. I've seen these other, that's actually quite good, that one. Looks like it feels a bit like it's stuck to it, but no, I don't think so. So yeah, we're lucky with that. I guess I should see if the motor at least runs, which it does. Plenty of torque. Quite a robust mechanism in them. Now we've actually got take up, but no pinch roller obviously. Yeah, take up's good, so at least I know that no fast forward, no rewind. Do they rely on the capstan turning? I think they might. Oh yeah, if I turn that, we get our rewind. I think you gotta hold that down, spin it. Do we have torque? I think we do, because I'm having trouble turning the capstan when I hold the reel. Yeah, there's quite a bit of fight back there. Not sure if these had rubber idlers in them or not, but at least this one should just be a simple belt changeover. Well, simple, we've got to remove all this back metal work, I think. Can we do it in the machine? Possibly. The other belt just here just simply goes from the motor pulley front around this piece by the look of it. So that's nice and easy to do without disassembling a single thing. We've got two screws on the bracket there and another two down this way. And just, yeah, this one's got live mains on that switch there. So you've got to keep away from this area while it's got any power on it. Everything else looks like it's sealed up nicely, which is better than a lot of them. I can just get the screwdriver in to undo this metal bracket which has a record playback switch on it. Oh no, that's a record playback switch. There's a big long switch here. I don't know why they've got such a big switch there. Is that the motor switch? It probably is just the motor switch, but why is it so big? Okay, I've got the top screw off. Yeah, oh yeah, we can get that out of the way. And then we can get to a second screw here below the motor. I'm not sure if I even need to completely undo this stuff. Yeah, I can get to it, but I can't undo it. Screwdriver's on a bit of an angle which doesn't help. That is super tight. It goes into a big metal shaft. Whew, that is super tight. I've got two more on the end, around the middle of the mech. So underneath the caps in there. And it dropped off. Luckily not very far. Oh, there's a counter belt down there too. We might be able to do that by taking off the aluminium from the inside, and hopefully that's all we've got to do, but we'll see. That'll at least get this end loose, but I don't think we're going to sneak a belt through there anywhere. But if I can rotate this a bit, I might be able to loosen that other screw off. Yeah, I think it's turning with it. Sometimes just doing that is enough to loosen them. For some reason when they're in these metal mounting postings they can just seize up, I think. Yeah, that got it. Simple as that. So no need to get side cutters into the head or anything. So yeah, two screws were on this end bit of this where this plate bends around, and the other one, of course there's a wire in a way, but right down in here. Easy enough to find. You just want to loosen this bracket off, and it only just has to come back slightly. You could undo those wires and stuff, but we just want to get in there so we can get something over this capstan. Now, I guess ideally you'd want to lube everything, but that spins nicely. You can always put some oil through from the front. That's a really nice big heavy one. And we're going to have to remove the other belt anyway to get the belt over the flat belt over the motor pulley. And yeah, it's just staying in an odd shape, so that's had its day. Now I wonder what length belt we need. That's a 90 by 0.5 by 4 wide, I think. The problem is these old belts are all bent up, and trying to get them to hang on this thing's going to be right bit of fun. Come on. They're going to fall down. It's not easy doing it in the machine like this, but it's probably no easier out of the machine necessarily either. I have to put my thumb down there, I think, and hold it on the side. That's actually the perfect belt, I think. Wow. Well, the chances, first one I found. I do have to get my fingers down here right underneath and hold the belt on this flywheel, on the big capstan bit there, and sort of pull it up the other side. It was hitting on a bit of metal there, and try and keep tension on it until I could sort of get it right around. So you just got to watch it doesn't slip off. but a 95 seems to be the right length. Could it be a little tighter? It's gripping fine. Maybe you could go a size smaller. You don't want too much tension. It's maybe just a little lacking, but that's the only size in that range I've got. So somewhere around a 90, 95 is what you want. We'll try a 66 by 1.2, is it? Original might have actually been a 1.4. Very hard to tell you. I think that's a 1.4, the original. Shouldn't matter too much on that, but let's just see if the length is correct. It's got to be a 63 or a 66, one or the other. Getting these things in the slot is the problem. That seems okay. I probably should have cleaned those pulleys. Oops, something's going click. Could put a little bit of grease, I'd say, on the end of the capstan here while we got it off. That's actually alright, that grease, I think. But you can leave that if it looks dry at all. And the counterbelt. Let's put this mech back in place. Where did that screw go? Actually, this other piece is on a spring, so it's actually like part of the record mechanism sitting on that post, and that's actually moved off the post, of course, because it's got a big spring on it. So I've got to get that back over. Looks like there's another end of this lever between a couple of springs you've got to actually push into a hole. But of course the spring is pulling everything out. And then while we're jiggling that into the hole, there it is. So you can, two springs down here, and there's a little copper bit that pushes the play switch. So that's got to go in. At the same time, get it on the mounting post before we can put this back in place. And the other thing I just noticed is it's got that copper bit which was pressing on that switch on the end of this plate down the motor end, and that's trying to rotate into the wrong place. Looks like there's a lever that should go into the chassis somewhere. Probably just sits on top of another lever there. That's it, I think. Now, yeah, just got to be careful we don't knock that record thing off again, but there's this copper piece on the end of this plate under the motor. It just sort of rotates around wherever it wants, but it's got like a lever. The back part of it should, with a little bend in it, should point upright because it's got to press on that switch, and there's another, basically a 90-degree bend. I can't really get it out and show it, but just make sure that's gone back into place. So it's going to press on the switch still, and the switch, it has a little piece sticking out there and a screw hole, and there's two holes in the capstan bracket there. Get that lined up with them going horizontally across it. That little bit sticking out should go in the other hole so the thing can't rotate. And I think that came on with the play button. Yeah, that's pressing on this little record playback looking switch. See the little white bit come out at the end there. So you can see that switch there come out when I press on that, and then record playback. I have to press the lever up here, wherever it is, to the tab lever. I think that's the buttons. There we go. So that switch there comes right across via this black lever. So we know all those bits are working. And that's basically that side done. Take out reels going. Rewind and fast forward now working. Eject on a separate button. Play's a little bit hesitant to lock in, I think. Is that because the counter's not working or something? But pin troller's running. That's because the door's open. A little bit of noise in fast forward. I think I've busted it. I can't get fast forward to work anymore. Rewind, obviously no counter, so that's going to cut out. Now the front door should just slide off these things. And can we get this aluminium piece out? There's 2 screws at the top, I reckon that'll come out. Up near the little spring bits that push on the tape. Quite long screws, I think. They don't want to come out in a hurry. Ah, you sons of... Well, they both came out now. Yeah, down inside the mech. So, that's fun. Power off. Yeah. It's tilting forward. We should be able to just lift that out. Here it comes out, no problem. Then you can get to your counter belt. Looks like this does have rubber idlers in here. Or one. And there's our rather long counter belt. It's probably about a 69 by 1.2, I think, this thing. Probably even more of 1mm, but yeah, so it's a 69 by 1.2. And I'm not sure what the best way to poke it in there is. Where does it come out at? Through that hole there. It might be easy to poke it in from the counter pulley side, I think. That bit, get it over the pulley on the reel side, and then just flick it over here, hopefully. And just make sure it works. Counters are running. Won't do it in the rewind mode. And I broke the fast forward. Well, one thing with these is do not lift them up with the button down, because you'll snap the back off. These were known for breaking in these machines. And I just busted that one, so that's handy. So I've got no fast forward, not that you use it very often normally anyway, but that was often the button that you would pinch if you had a broken one and couldn't get new buttons for them, because it's the least likely button to use besides the pause, but this has got a smaller pause button. Put that back on. Oh, now where's our light come from for this thing? It comes down a plastic channel there from the top somewhere. That must have been this black, oh there it is here, in this little black rubber thing. Looks original, so they must have been that dim to start with. Should be a couple of slots down the bottom to fit that aluminium in. And put the screws back. And there we have it for the mechanical side of things. Okay, let's fire this up and see if it actually runs. Something going on there. And yeah, I busted that one. Should have known better. That's got some dodgy stuff recorded on it. Try a pre-recorded tape. Dolby out, nice and high. Oh, we're in chrome mode. Yeah, head's clean, pinroll is actually clean, everything's pretty clean. Capstan, so someone must have kept this one reasonably clean when they were last using it at least.
So beautiful.
Worked surprisingly well. Now we'll try recording. Yes, that works surprisingly well. There's no sign of wear on the heads, which is good. Often these would be worn down a bit, but I don't think it's got a ridge at all on it. If it is, it's very small, but possibly had the head replaced at some time, or maybe this unit just didn't do a lot of work. Needs a good clean up, and I'll go over checking the adjustments are all set right, but everything seems to be pretty close. So I don't know what year these came out in, but probably early 80s. I think they came out around 81, 82, somewhere like that, maybe even 1980. Well, this is a bit earlier than the one we had, so it probably was more around 1980 model. So it's done pretty well. Just needs some new belts. And I've given the record switch a quick clean as well, with some contact cleaner, just out of habit, because they often show signs of getting a bit dirty, but this one seemed okay. And it's got a bit of corrosion. These buttons are pretty common on the tops. Any sort of moisture and stuff on there, or even finger grease and stuff, would corrode them. The ones on the deck are pretty bad too, so I'm not sure they're going to clean up anyway. Let's have a quick look. Probably didn't matter that I busted one of them, because I don't think they're exactly mint. They've definitely got some corrosion. They're coming up better than they were, at least. The whole front panel, I think, has got some light corrosion maybe. And of course it's the fast forward one. Oh, it's the stock one that's cleaning up the best. No, actually quite a bit of that's coming off, so maybe it is more finger grease than actual corrosion, though I can see the little spots that stay behind, but a lot of it is, I thought that was all green verdigris stuff, and it's not, but yeah, definitely some dots left there. Clean off the top of that door would look a lot better. That's particularly dirty. This one might actually come up better than I thought. I don't think it's ever been cleaned in its life by the look of it. Yeah, it's surprisingly good. But it goes to show you should not put weight on the front of these things, especially if the button's locked down. Something you tend to forget. I know these did get broken buttons in them, even when they were fairly new. It didn't take a lot when you've got so much leverage on the plastic. I think, how do you get this? There's like dirt down inside this thing, between the outer layer and the inner, so the clear plastic and the silver plastics. I can't do these unscrew. Oh, these are the ones, I think I came across these before. You've got to make sure you unscrew them from the back rather than trying to undo them from the front, because it'll make the deck look a lot better if we get the dirt out of there. yeah, those buttons are far from mint, I think. Always a bit of dust sitting down the bottom. Looks absolutely terrible. And there's a bit in there, I can't get rid of that little black dot. That's in surprisingly good condition. Looks 100 times better. And these got two little, or at least one little tab sticking out to make sure they line up. So the little dots in it, little fake removal dots on the front go horizontal. Whoops. Looks like it's bloody offside to me. Take those damn meters off a bit. A lot of muck around that power switch. Not surprising. One of the most used parts of the machine. It doesn't come off this sort of panel the easiest. Some muck next to that one. That knob's quite dirty. Around that knob's dirty. Okay, giving it a bit of a clean up and it's looking a lot better than it was. Some of this actually looks almost near new. Is still a bit of corrosion on some of these switches, and these buttons are far from perfect, as is often the case. They've been sitting there for years with both finger grease and dust falling on them, and maybe moisture and stuff if they've been stored in the garage or something later on. But it's come out surprisingly well. Actually sounds pretty good. I'm surprised for a deck at this age it sounds as good as it does. But yeah, very minimal headwear by the look of it. So well worth doing up, but yeah, just be careful with these buttons. Don't lean the deck on it. I mean, normally I'd probably do it a bit differently, but when you're trying to do it on the camera, that makes things a bit more difficult when you're trying to see stuff. But you could remove this mech completely, but I don't think there's much point. But just don't tilt it up onto the buttons if they're pressed down like I did. And probably best to actually sit this on a couple of blocks of foam or something to keep those buttons right off the bench. I think would be the safest way if you're going to work on it like that. But it's no great loss. I only bought it as a display piece sort of thing, and I think it'll make quite a good one actually. I've got a few of these old silver ones now, so mate, that's probably all they're good for. This one's almost too good just to use for that. I don't think I had another mech anywhere out of one of these with good buttons on it, so if I can find another button for it one day, it might be worth replacing that button, and then it could be sold to someone who might actually appreciate it. But you know, it was only sort of $10 this thing, so I'm not too fussed about getting any return on it. It was more just to buy, just as a bit of an interesting thing to look at, since I haven't seen inside one of these in a long time, and we had one very similar looking to this. And I think we might have had to get the buttons replaced in it when I was a kid. I think a couple of them broke. So they did sort of snap off. I know a place I worked at was the agent for Teac, and they got quite a few of these in with broken buttons. It wasn't uncommon. I think you just pull the, you got to pull the whole mech out then, and there's a slide bar I think, and the buttons drop off that. Yeah, can't see much without taking the front panel off. Yeah, I can see the end of what looks like a slide bar, but I think that's what you had to do. That's my memory of it. Slide the bar right out. They all come loose, and then you replace the broken one, and then you've got to fiddle around to fit it all back in there. But it's not too hard a job, and not too bad to change the belts in. A little bit of messing around, but at least that's got all good belts again. So I'll put that one back together and probably just use it as a display piece for now. So thanks for watching.